And we're on. Welcome to MenSpeak Radio. Today, we have a room full of geezers. Are you geezers?
No.
No. We have men. Are we men?
We are men.
We are men. Therefore, if we are all men and we're together, then surely this is what they call a men's group. So, yeah, we're going to do men's group today. And it's Johnny's first time. Meanwhile, you've done it before, but we're going to do introductions in a sec. First of all, let me tell you that we have ground rules, and I'm not going to read them all out to you, but I'll tell you the headings are confidentiality, respect, take part, be honest, own what you say, stay in the present, don't bully, don't dramatise, experiment with who you are, name what's triggered, live beyond the rules, always talk about MenSpeak, men's groups. And you can check out the men's groups at the ground rules at mensgroups.co.uk, as well as the checking round and everything else, so you can run your own group. So, we have all read the men's groups. Do we all agree to the men's group, to the ground rules, I mean?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Anything to haggle or add or take away?
No.
We're fine as we are. So what we do is we start with, usually we do 2 minute silence, but on radio that's a long time. So we'll do like 30 seconds, maybe a minute. Let's see how it goes. And here goes the bell. Are they trying to trap a rat outside or something? There's something going on. Are they laying a new floor? Who knows? So yeah, it's funny what you hear in silence. Right.
Perhaps there's a stray cat trying to catch it.
But it's the year of the rat. You have to
Yeah, good
include
connection,
these
good.
things.
Yeah.
They're playing mousetrap. Right. Shall we kick off? So over to you.
Okay, so my name is Oliver J.R. Cooper, and I'm a teacher, author, consultant, and writer. And I mainly write about emotional problems and self-image problems and trauma mainly. And I feel at the moment excited about what's going to be spoken about today. And what do I want from this group? Nothing in particular. My age is 34. My Chinese sign is the ox. My Western sign is Libra. My sexuality is straight. I am with someone. At number 7, the last time I cried was 2 days ago, and that was when I was doing inner child work. The last time I ejaculated was yesterday. My greatest fear right now is tough one.
Are there any fears right now?
Not really, so I think I'll miss that one. Number 10, I hate. I think I said this last time, the rain. Not fun of it. As you can see, I'm quite covered.
Yeah.
I love what I do. And number 12, I am grateful for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
While we're here, very quickly,
Yeah.
where can people check you out and check out all your links?
They can go to Amazon or just Google or oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and they can find all the information is there. But Google is just the easiest place to go because they can just put my name in there and everything will come up.
Good. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Over to you.
My name is Paul Atherton. I feel energetic. What I want from this group is nothing in particular myself, actually, today. My age is 51, my Chinese sign is monkey, my Western sign is Pisces, my sexuality is straight, I am single. The last time I cried is years and years ago. The last time I ejaculated was in the past week. My greatest fear right now is not having enough time to complete everything I have on the go at the moment. I hate, as I always do, incompetence, sloth and bureaucracy. I love sharing time with friends. I am... what's the word I'm looking for? Optimistic.
Mm. Last time you were here, you were talking about the big exhibition that was going on, and then you had something at the OXO,
Yeah.
and now is it a stand-up? Or
No, it's a play.
a play, so
Yeah.
there's a play going on.
Yeah. So Displaced is still trundling along against the usual bureaucratic nonsense at City of London, which is this idea of putting I've been homeless for 10 years. So it's this idea of putting luxury objects that I have in my storage unit in museum cases dotted around the City of London in order to dispel many of the myths of homelessness. The photographic exhibition I just had on was called Paul Atherton's Greatest Londoners. A little kindness goes a long way when you're homeless. And that was in relation to 10 people that we kind of randomly selected based on their availability to take photographs of, that have either done me a huge service in terms of respect or supporting me in business or encouragement or love or care or affection, or just going into a venue and somebody calling me sir, even though they know I don't have a house.
Mm.
And that was really good, although the gallery let us down hugely in that respect. But nonetheless, we put it together in a week, and we were there for a week.
Something, what a buzz.
And now the play, which is called 50 Years of Trying, which is getting its trial in Camden's People's Theatre on Monday, March the 16th, which is only a 20-minute taste, but it's the first time we're going to put it in front of a public audience. So that's kind of exciting. So we're running through rehearsals for that at the moment. So.
Wow. You're a happening homeless geezer. No, you're not a geezer.
I'm not a
you're
geezer.
man.
I'm a gentleman, I'll have you. People call me sir.
Is it surprising to be called sir when you're homeless? Like, does it really make a difference?
Yeah.
And do people even know?
Well, this is the point. They do. These people do.
Right,
So
right.
these are people that I used to be a customer of when I had a luxury penthouse overlooking St. Paul's. Not that it was an expensive luxury penthouse that was overlooking St. Paul's. It is ridiculously expensive now.
Mm.
But yeah, so I mean, I frequented Lock & Co. and where I'd been this morning, actually, just going out for coffee with my hatter, which is kind of weird. See, I have a hat. Hat's very important. And Keith Morris over at Fortnum & Mason's, who's been my perfumer for years. And all these people knew as soon as I don't make a secret of it, but at the same time I don't go, hello, I'm Paul, I'm homeless, generally speaking, unless I'm coming on a radio show or something like that. But yeah, so I've known these people for years, and I was like, this is my situation, nothing has changed. And as Keith wonderfully put it, he goes, well, you haven't changed as a person, so why should I change towards you?
Exactly. Well, I've known you for a short while, and it seems like you do change as a person because you grow, and you express, and you take part, and you seem to be very true to who you are and your values, and enable change.
Yeah.
But the essence of you, I guess, is what he's talking about. Or maybe he's talking about the smell.
Well,
Not that you're smelly or anything. But if he's
rapidly
your,
retracting now.
if he's your perfumer. Anyway, where do people check you out?
So on Instagram, I'm a Londoners London. On Twitter, at Londoners London. And as a colleague across the table said, just Google my name, Paul Atherton, and you'll find the wiki page about me and all the other associated nonsense.
Great. Right, thank you. I'm going to bang through mine and let's see if we can do Johnny before we have to stop for a break, because we get loads of breaks now. My name is Kenny. Kenneth Joseph from St Terence, Dominic Marmalade Cruise. I feel quite cocky, probably because I'm low on blood sugar. I haven't had lunch yet. What I want from the group is to hang out, because I like you lot. And I'm curious about what's going on. There's a lot going on. I'm 55, Virgo, Dragon, straight, married. Cried 2 weeks ago, top of the 257, and I finished off on the British Royal. Ejaculated. Yeah, I like the way you said in the last week. Yep. I'm not going to be specific with my ejaculations.
Oh, phew.
Oh my god, oh no, this means that I
can be like that. I was getting that question, I was like, all the other ones are fine. Like, oh, no.
So it's like none of your business.
What if it's like half an hour ago before I came?
That before I came. That's a double bonus.
Or I'm not going to say that.
Greatest fear right now, I guess that I lose some of my sight and I become one of those men who has a fluffy tuft on the cheek because I didn't see it when I was shaving it. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to lose my sight. I hate nothing right now. Actually, I'm not very... Oh, yes, I do. People in my way. I love people not in my way. I am going to have to say, Johnny, can you check in after the great break because we have seconds? And if you want to know why we ask these impertinent questions, then all the answers are on the website, and now we have to go for a break. And we're back, and here's Johnny.
Well, my name's Johnny. I feel sleepy but positive, excited. I would say a little bit nervous as well, the unknown. What I want from this group, nothing, just to share, just to connect with people. Come away inspired. My age is 36. My star sign is Virgo. My sexuality is straight. I'm single at the moment. Last time I cried was last night. I listened to some music. The last time I ejaculated, oh, that's difficult today. Greatest fear right now, I think it's being a little bit more famous and taking on more responsibility, helping more people, because I feel very exposed and that frightens me. What do I hate? I don't hate anything. Really don't like it when people are rude for no reason or being nasty to people and stuff, but other than that, I don't hate anything. I love my family, I love making YouTube videos, I love inspiring people, I like comedy, and I'm a teacher who helps people control anxiety, face their fear, and that's it, that's me.
That's a lot.
That's on the sheet, I just read the sheet.
Yeah, good on you. And where do people find out about you? And specifically, you've got a niche with the kind of work you do, haven't you?
Yeah, best place is YouTube. If you YouTube Johnny Berba,
Yeah.
then people can find me.
Do you know what's really, really interesting to watch on your YouTube? And whenever I show people, it's like they can't stop. Is not just approaching. Is it mainly women that people approach?
Well, that's my old stuff. It's kind of changed a lot now. The old videos were me showing, guys how to speak to women in public,
Yeah.
with honesty, confidence. But now it's really changed. Now I'm talking about so many different things on confidence, mental health.
Right.
So that's kind of like the old me, the old videos. But people still associate with me with those videos. But that's not really where I'm at right now and what I'm helping
So
people
it's
with.
kind of matured from meeting and chatting to women
A hell of a lot.
to who you are, what's up.
Well, now I really just don't want it to be about me anymore. I'm kind of sick of that. It's like how
No, I mean
can
for people who
yeah,
they
yeah,
are
helping
and what's
people
up.
that have got mental health, who suffer with anxiety, to do something with it, be positive, face it, talk about it, don't be ashamed of it. Just having fun on YouTube, just connecting with people and just, I don't know, just enjoying life, talking about the gym, business, relationships, a bit of everything. And most of it is, I don't know, can't really put a name on it. Most of it's like facing your fear,
Right.
doing what you want to do and being a better
how
person.
How do people spell your name? Because it'll go on YouTube and they'll type in Johnny, and even Johnny you can spell it different ways. Go on, spell
It's
it.
Johnnny, and then the surname's Berba. Barber's not my real name though. That was my dating coaching name. Johnny is short for Jonathan. That's my real name. But
Right.
people call me Johnny, so
Yeah.
I'm stuck with it now. So I can't really.
Good name.
So yeah, it's a pretty good name.
Cool.
Comes up, yeah.
Thank you. What strikes me is how much we have in common. In different ways, we seem to be doing relatively similar things. And what we talked about in the break was doing a quick first round. We've got like 12-minute slots because suddenly they've upped the ante with ads. which is nice. We can do bite-sized different things. What we're going to do a quick round of is what it was like, how we felt coming into a room with blokes that we don't know, and any fears, any fantasies, and all of that shenanigans. So you started the first round. Are you cool to kick this one off, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I love meeting new people, so I never have any sort of trepidation or fears or anything of that ilk, and I'm always amazed at what you learn about people as well, because I think if you come in with an open head and an open mind, people are very, very quick to share.
Yeah.
And it's not often people have that space. Normally you've got to put a front up, or you've got to put a guard up, or you've got to put the professional self forward, or but as soon as you're in an environment where you think, okay, I've got nothing to lose, I don't know somebody across the table, they don't know me, I think they're the encounters that are probably more honest than any other encounters we have.
Yeah.
Because you're not protecting yourself from anything, whether you're in a relationship and you're slightly hiding certain aspects of who you are for fear of losing that relationship, or whether that you're, I have a myriad of different friends, but they don't really cross over. My friend over here is kind of very hermit-like, and he does his thing and never comes to any of my social events, and I've got the socialites over here.
So because you've got this cross-section of friends, you expect to meet more of a cross-section of people, and you're used to relating to new people.
To everybody across the board. Yeah.
And is there any difference in the way that you feel about meeting people if they're male or female, or it doesn't really matter?
It doesn't matter. I grew up surrounded by females, so it's I'm probably more comfortable around women than I am around men, bizarrely. But it's a hair's breadth between the two. Certainly, having done these groups, it's reminded me that I'm as comfortable, because it's been a long time since I've been around a lot of men. I spend a lot of time being surrounded by a lot of women.
Yeah.
And when we first approached things, it was like, I'm not sure I'm very comfortable. We're the women. There doesn't appear to be any women in the men's group. I don't understand this at all. Why am I here? But yeah, so that was a fascinating revelation. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm just as comfortable, because I do tend, as I say, tend to draw myself towards female engagement rather than men.
Well, for me, it's very different because I know you all, and I've been quite excited to see you, and I've seen you two quite relatively recently, and I wanted to check in to see how things are going, but I haven't seen you for a while, Johnny, and it's like, okay, I'm going to see Johnny again. I wonder what's up and how everyone's going to get together, because I know we're going to have a buzz because we have things in common. So it's exciting for me, but I know that with the men's group, people are generally scared of coming the first time. And for me, emotionally, it's like I'm going to be the new boy in school, and everyone's got their best friend, and I'm going to be rejected or humiliated or abandoned, and how am I going to fit in, and what's the pecking order? And that's boy stuff. That's so boy stuff. And I so respect that. I think showing up the first time, the thought of it is scary. But when people show up, and for us being men, we are here to accept ourselves and grow and be together. Where if it was boys, it's no. This is about competing. This is about being the coolest and the pecking order. And that's the difference. So for me, it's like, yeah, I still have, I guess, one thing that I noticed I have is I was used to people being maybe a bit scared of me because I'm not white. And I've been in mainly white, and even now I'm in quite white environment. So it's like, is he trustworthy, or is he going to steal something, or that kind of stuff. So I need to show people that I'm a nice, decent, I used to be Catholic. But other than that, it's like I love the men's groups and I love showing up, but there are a lot of environments where I think it'd probably be I probably wouldn't fit in very well with a bunch of pissheads. So yeah, but that's how it was for me, and it's easy for me. But how was it for you, especially your first men's group?
Do you know what? I've got to be honest, usually I'm very scared meeting people first time, but I felt very confident today because of what I've been through, and we met before and I enjoyed that. I was actually nervous more on that interview when we did the one-on-one in this place.
Really? How come?
I don't know, because I think I knew we were going to talk about stuff about me, personal things, but I felt better because I faced lots of fears. I'm kind of used to doing it and telling other people, but I was, I think, more excited. yeah, just more excited to come. And I know you're doing a good thing, and I knew the people would be good anyway. So, yeah.
And generally, would you say you're similar to Paul in that you were used to being around women rather than men, or have you always been quite comfortable around men and boys?
That's a good question, because I haven't really thought about it. And when the gentleman was talking about that, I was thinking, that's interesting, because at school I think I struggled with girls. I was shy and people, but because I've worked with so many guys, I'm around the men a lot because of the work I do, but I've also been around a lot of women. I think it depends on who the people are, like you said. If I'm not comfortable with people, it doesn't matter if they're men or women, I'm going to feel comfortable with myself, or socially anxious, where if I'm comfortable with them, it doesn't really matter. But then I love women as well, so I think it depends on how I feel, who's there. It very much depends based on my mood.
Yeah.
And one of my concerns are, because I have a mental health condition, I've had it since I was a kid. I hope I don't show up and I'm depressed. I don't want to make other people feel negative, so I put a lot of pressure on myself, because I want to make people feel good,
Yeah.
And I've always kind of been like that, and kind of coming to accept that about myself, and so.
I wonder whether one of the gifts that you bring is allowing people to be real, rather than having to be good and high and up and putting on a good show.
I hope so.
And I guess one of my cheap lines is, it's from masculine to masculine. And for me, the masculine is like, it's getting real, it's being who we are. And I think I like that about all of us. Oliver, how was it for you? That sounds like we've just had sex or something.
I'm similar to Johnny here, because I did the men's group in, it wasn't live, so it was just everyone. What was it, about 15, 20 people in a group?
Oh yeah.
And that to me was a bit like, okay, I didn't even know I was actually going to be doing it, because we had a meal.
Yeah.
And then we went to that, and that was it took some adjusting for me to do.
Yeah.
And then we had the one-to-one interview here.
Yeah.
And that, I really enjoyed that. That wasn't really an issue. And then when it came down to doing this men's group live before, for me, I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
I think because I had in my head already had the associations that I was okay with the interview in the one-to-one. We did, so it didn't really cross my mind. But I think growing up, it was a bit of both, mainly spending time with men, not women, and then gradually, I suppose, becoming more balanced in that way. So spending more time with women as I became more comfortable with them. But it wasn't like, it wasn't as if in the beginning was like men were, I was intimidated of them, but perhaps more of women early on. And then I gradually became more comfortable with them. But to me, just like was said, it doesn't really matter who someone is. If I have a connection, then I'm okay, hanging out with them. So, yeah.
Do you know, one thing I'm picking up is I wonder whether it's the same as going to parties. If we know someone at the party that we get on with, then that's easy.
Yeah.
And then let it grow from there.
Yeah.
And I like the way that we've already come to the party. All four of us. Do you know what I mean? Already, it's like we know that we're different to each other. We know that we're similar to
different
each other.
Different but the same.
Exactly. And that's the thing.
Same but different.
Yeah. What do we have in common, and where shall we meet, and how shall we grow from there? And now we need to go from here, because can you believe it? We're back selling things to you. Yeah. We are back with something very, very juicy that Johnny brought up, and that's about being more seen. And that's another thing that the four of us have in common, is we are getting more and more seen and more in the limelight or in the public arena. So, Johnny, you brought it up. How is it for you, and how are you managing it? Any fears and fantasies?
Well, it started for me in 2012, and I think I've never really managed it fully. I've always found it overwhelming. I've kind of just distracted myself from thinking about it. With regards to being more known, or people knowing who you are on the internet or in person. And I think, if I'm being honest, and a lot of us, I craved that growing up. I wanted that attention and love like anyone, and I think we all do, but I didn't realise it comes at a cost, it comes at a price. Not everyone's going to like you, and sometimes just the pressure, you just don't feel like everyone looking at you if you've had a bad day, and just that feeling of being exposed. So there's a lot of positives, but there is an instinct in me that is frightened. That's like, that's enough, stop. There's always that stop, and if I feel it's right to face it, I'll do it. Especially when you want to help more people. It's hard to help more people if you don't get more known. It's almost like if you want to be successful at anything, helping people out, doing a charity, it's hard today, unless I'm wrong, not to do it and not be famous. Because if people don't know about you, had to know about your service. That's how I got to know you. Met you, I saw the work you did, I really liked it. So it kind of contradicts a lot of what we want to do and what I feel we should do if we want to be better people and help people. But it is scary. I do understand. People it's just overwhelming, you know.
And the way that earlier
on, I think I've always struggled with it, if I'm being honest. And I'm talking about it today. Actually, it's helped me a little bit just to talk with you guys, get it out instead of it, you know, blackmailing me.
It's a bit of a taboo in a way because I haven't heard people talk about this. And earlier on, you were talking about the mental health stuff and good days and bad days.
Yep.
And it's easy to be seen when I'm like, you know, eloquent and I've shaved. But if I'm on a downer, then am I allowed to share that? I kind of feel like I ought to share it more because it's real and it's important. I don't want to hide it. But I wonder whether some people feel, well, I shouldn't or I couldn't or it's the wrong thing. Where are you with that?
Well, I relate to what you said. I think the sort of fear is the reaction. How is the reaction going to be from people or my own feelings and instincts if I get more known or quote-unquote famous or whatever I'm doing, people will become aware of me. I think unconsciously we've seen celebrities over the years get attacked and ridiculed, and we're afraid that will happen to us. I'm going to let my parents down, or my parents might not like that, or they might not want me to be more famous and bring attention to the family, or they might not like what I've said. So,
cool. Thank you, Oliver.
Yeah, I can relate to what Johnny's just said. I think there is the fear of what, obviously there's the good and it's easy to focus on the good and that'll be great, but what about the bad? And I think for me, growing up, receiving attention was something that I did my best to avoid. In all cases, it wasn't something that I wanted because the associations I had of being hit or abandoned or something like that, being put down, so it wasn't something that I thought, yeah, this is great. But then at the same time, it's like, through what I'm doing, and as you're saying, more exposure, more people noticing what I'm doing. And as that has come up, having to work through the different fears and beliefs that have come up during that time. But for me, what I always think about is I'm doing this because, not because I want to be famous or to get a pat on the back, because it's for a reason that's far bigger than that. Then it's then easier for me to go through that. And I think if I was only doing it because I wanted attention, and the first time someone says, oh, this book isn't very good, then I'm like, okay, that's it, I quit. But because to me it's about more than that, then I can go through that. Not necessarily straight away, but I can just keep going, you know, fall down and then get back up. Because to me it's about much more than that. It's about making a difference and assisting others. And I think this is a good point. In this day and age, and I suppose in any age, if you're not really known, then how can you make a difference if people don't know about you? So you could be the best whatever in the world, but if no one knows what you do, it's irrelevant. So it's that whole, and then there is of course people that might not be that great, but because they've got exposure, they're doing terrific.
I'm so pleased you named that. That's a big deal. And
I think especially because I think that it's often the Dunning-Kruger effect, they call it. So people that are usually very good doubt themselves, and the people that and just go for it. So there's people out there, and then you've got the people that are very good and they doubt themselves, and it's like, well, you should be out there too, because what you have to offer is very valuable. But because of that doubt and everything else, so for me it's just about remembering why I'm doing this and what matters and where I came from.
I don't mean this in a funny way, but you remind me of Mother Teresa.
And you would know, right?
Well, she said to me, it's not about me, it's about the work. But if that means that my life goes to the public and that brings attention to the work, then I will give my life up for the work. And it feels like, in a way, that's what you're saying.
It's like a healthy sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool. From Mother Teresa to Paul Atherton.
Gosh, that is a big jump. Yeah, I mean, I'm at that stage where I'm pursuing, for use of a better word, fame. I kind of, my life goes cyclically with this. So, when I was doing TV, when I was in my PR days, I was well known for doing what I was doing in public relations, and then I moved to TV and I became a nobody again, and then I built that up, and then obviously the Wikipedia page came and the association with that. And now everything I'm doing, because of the nature of the campaigning and things, it's like it is actually now way harder for me to get a voice. Now I'm talking about something important than it was when I was talking about something frivolous. And that's even shown out in the algorithm. So I posted some nonsensical thing about Valentine's Day and I got like 100 responses, and I posted something about homelessness and I get 1. And you're like going, it's got to be an algorithm. There is no way that you get that. You know, I mean, you believe a drop, sure, but nothing that extreme. So I mean, I am in that rather odd situation where, most of what I do doesn't really put me front and center. Obviously, when I was doing PR, you've got to be the guy behind pulling the strings. When you're doing production, and you're producing something, you are the person that puts it all together. You're God. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the director's name out there or the actor's name out there, or So I'm just a person at the back. I'm not good at that. I like being at the front. So suddenly now I am where I want to be, which is is me talking. It's my photographic exhibition. It's my theatre thing. It's my. But actually now trying to get the platform from which to get that popularity of people, and as everybody said around here, you have to have that. It's a really sad reflection in the 21st century that actually you can't do anything of any worth unless someone's covering it. I was in a debate with a journalist the other day, and he'd sort of posted a classic DWP stereotype story, and I immediately sort of pounced on it, going, why is this a news story? Why aren't you covering the fact that the DWP have not paid hundreds of thousands of people what they're rightfully entitled to, as opposed to this surfer girl that's maybe or maybe hasn't sort of defrauded. But for them, that was a news story. For what I was talking about, which I think is a much bigger, much more important news story, wouldn't sell. And I think that's fundamentally the problem with all of these things, is that we now have to have these platforms by which to speak.
I feel that we're all lucky looking at us and listening to us, that we have strong personalities, all of us. We all have a certain style, and we all have a certain way of being. And that's easy to relate to, rather than having... I remember in the PUA days, not that I've been involved in PUA, but there's a term, what's it called, peacocking, where it's not about you, it's about the size of your hat, or how silly ass your trousers are, or something. But this is us being us. Not pointing no fingers. So for me, I love the vulnerability of the way I live my life, but I can be very paranoid putting things out, and especially the way the media can cut and paste things for what they want to say, which might have nothing to do with what I want to say, what I'm trying to say. And I guess one of the powers of social media, and for you, Johnny, YouTube channels, because you've done talks and things on YouTube, is we put it out, they don't put it out, and it's up to us to represent ourselves right, rather than hope that someone else will. And it's been really, for me, being trolled. I remember being seriously in trouble by some woman on Twitter saying I'm this, that and the other because I used the word ladies instead of women. And it hurts. And it's just like silly things. And I had to learn to not look at what people are saying, not respond to things, let other people read, and whatever I need to say, I'll respond. But it hurts. And it feels like the higher up, the more, when I lived in Sydney, they called it the tall poppy syndrome. The higher up, the more someone wants to kind of lob the head off the tall poppy type thing. But I am too sensitive for this, and I am doing it. And I am really, scared of more and more people disliking me, because there's a vulnerable little boy and a neediness in me, and I don't want to cause harm. And I have enough people who dislike me. And I guess this is the path I've chosen, and I wonder whether you lot feel it's the same thing. It's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway, for my sake and for the sake of what I believe in. Would you say it's fair enough?
Yeah, everyone's points, honestly, just have been brilliant. I've agreed on everything. There's nothing anyone said I haven't agreed on, honestly. And what you said is just so relatable. I'm just taking it in and appreciating what Oliver said, what Paul said, what you said, and I can't, no comment. It's great, yeah. It makes sense. What we've said, it's all
And then comes the management of it for me, and that's been a big deal as well. It's like I cannot spend my time in front of a computer doing Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and this and that and responding and making these relationships, and I don't even know who these people are that are supposed to be my friends, and, you know, it just hurts. And I am lucky that I have created help. I have had to get help in more ways than one. What were you going to say, Paul?
I think fundamentally, you know, I mean, I've been a big Twitter user since Twitter sort of created, once you kind of figure out what the purpose of it was. And then I was forced onto Instagram by everybody moving onto Instagram, so all the venues and things that I used to use. And I think that is a fundamental problem, that the technology drives us and we don't drive the technology. And we were saying that before the show, and I think that's absolutely critical.
Well, more power to us taking charge and putting out our message, and now it's time for more break messages. Oh, we're back. That was unexpected. We were just thinking about, rather than it all, you know, going out and the fame, where did it start? What did we need as little kids, and how's that informed the work we do? So let's, rather than me talking, let's do the round. Are you cool to start, Oliver?
Yeah. Well, I'd say for me a big part of it was the inner child within me having a need to be heard, and to see that I had an effect on my environment as well, and to see that I was capable of actually doing something. And as time has gone on, seeing that it's been about a need for protection as well, so my adult self being there and protecting my child self, and for my child self to realise that it can actually trust me to do these things. And that I'm going to be there, I'm not going to let it down, I'm not going to betray or abandon that part of me.
How did you do that? How did that child you know that?
What, as in build up the trust?
Yeah.
I would say just over many years of working with others and working on myself and doing inner child work on myself. It's just like with a cat or a dog, building up the trust, and that part of me just gradually understanding. And there might be moments when it might not, but in general, it's a lot better than it was.
Tell me you've written a book on the subject.
I have, yeah. I think the first one was Is Your Inner Child Controlling Your Life?
Nice.
The second one is How to Heal Your Inner Child, and there's an audiobook version of the first one. And there's soon going to be an online course of how to heal your inner child as well on Udemy, so looking forward to getting that out.
Wow, we chose the right subject for this, eh? I didn't even know. Good on you.
Thanks.
So, sorry, I butted in and asked a question. Anything more you'd like to say on
I
this?
think that's it, unless you want to...
I feel that you've kind of, in a way, kind of summed up or consolidated your journey from your needs to how you did your own work on yourself, and then passing those tools on. And those needs, in a way, thank God you had those needs, because this is now such valuable stuff for so many other people.
Thanks.
So, yeah, good on you. Thank you. Paul?
All right, I'm going to hand over timings now. I suppose I'm living up to the expectations of my inner child. I grew up in an environment that I was always having to battle and fight and challenge, and I had the support network that allowed me to believe that I was, I could accomplish anything that I set my mind to. Which is a big thing to live up to, you know. I mean, people talk about it as if it's kind of like, isn't this great? And you're like, yeah, but that's a big thing, man. So I suppose, I was really confident as a child. I always wanted to be center of attention, and I was, and I created environments to do that, and that hasn't gone away. I still need. I host 4 parties a year, may need to sort of keep in touch with a lot of people, but I also love being that sort of center of attention. It's me that's everybody's got together for, not necessarily to be seeing me, but knowing that I facilitated that group, knowing that I've encouraged a disparate group of people who would have never met each other, and then watching the things that spawn out of that. So I love doing that. But ultimately, everything I'm doing right now, I've never been in a world where I've ever pursued money. I mean, by the time I was 12 or 13, I just didn't understand this concept of working to, this slave drudgery. And that was growing up in a mining community as a kid. That was growing up with, watching fathers have a life expectancy of about 38, 39 because they were working down the coal mines. But there was this working class value of going, oh, yes, work. And you're like, that's just really stupid. I'm not doing that. That's insane. I'm going to go find my own path. And of course, my first bout of homelessness when I was around 16 was a real eye opener. And suddenly talking to people that I'd previously we've discussed in the past, where you'd have just walked past them thinking, oh, they're a bum. And then when you actually spend time with these people, you discover actually no, they're not. There's a lot of reasons that these people are here. Many of them are societal and got nothing to do with individual choice. So all of that sort of culminated, I suppose. But I always say, my attitude on life is not dissimilar to when I was 10 or 11 years old. My politics haven't really changed. My experiences haven't really sort of altered who I am very greatly, because most of my adult living I did as a child, and then sort of regressed. So now I'm kind of getting the balance between, then I was incredibly serious and austere, and then my time's up, so I'm going to stop.
I like the way, again, we're back with the essence of you, and how the essence of you has carried you through, the essence being expressed in so many different ways. And I wonder for me whether it was the essence in me or whether it was the environment that I was in. I would say for me, I was a mummy's boy. I was a golden boy. So I was the eldest son. I adored my mother, a very special relationship with my godmother, with my grandmother. And in a way, you could say that's special. In another way, it came with costs, like everything comes with a cost. And the cost was that I was very sensitive. I couldn't bear the thought of them withdrawing from me, being angry at me, telling me off. I had to be perfect. I had to second-guess perfection and not break that spell. I couldn't bear them being upset or angry or having any negative emotions. So in a way, I took responsibility for their emotions. And the major cost as well was, as the chosen one with the women, then I couldn't really be accepted by the other kids. I was, in a way, not an enemy, but once removed. I was like John Boy Walton, who wasn't quite one of the adults and he wasn't quite one of the kids, and it was that limbo thing. And then in a way there was also the message, don't be like the other men, they don't get us. So I'm not really accepted by the men, I'm not really accepted by the kids, and I'm responsible for the women. Messy. Plus there's no way out. And I love the women and they love me, and I guess I've been very comfortable around women. I haven't, a lot of men have issues around women. It's like because of the love I had. And I guess in a way, to take it full circle, I feel very much my own man. And I've had to unlearn so much of that. And I've picked up a lot of tools with a lot of that. And I've become from quite a feminine boy into a comfortably masculine man, if I need to be or want to be, but at least I can choose from those. So no wonder with a journey like that, I end up holding men's groups, because it is about how to be one of the men. And for me, the answer is to be my own man, because if I can't accept me as who I am, male, masculine, feminine, etc., then I can't expect anyone else to accept me. And then I can share my journey and my pain and use those skills that I had with the women of the sensitivity and asking questions, and in a way to empower other men and to be one of the men. So maybe it's all about me and my wounds. But yeah, pulling it together is so interesting. How about you, Johnny?
I think for now, because I've been on such a roller coaster ride of ups and downs, for me now it's about moving forward, not living in the past, and I'm really focused on adding value to people. And I know you hear that a lot, and it can sound a cliche and a bit cheesy, but I get a lot of my happiness from always helping other people, and that takes me out of worrying about my own issues or problems, because I went so deep into that stuff and with the work I've done. And I know there's always more work the more you look, but I just got to a point where I'm a bit tired of looking at my issues. I'll put them all online. I've talked about them. I want to just be positive, try and make every day good, enjoy my life, keep things simple. But I'm also aware that not everyone is in that place. Everyone's in different places, and I'm quite conscious of where other people are at. So for me now, it's about taking responsibility, moving forward in my life, doing positive things, and
it sounds like you've gone from survival into living.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because the ups and downs depends where you want to speak about. I've been through a lot, and 2 years ago I went for a mental breakdown. I was in a mental hospital, so it's changed me. That has changed me. Before that, a lot of success. Before success, a lot of depression, anxiety. So now there's an urge in me to talk about mental health from a new angle, from a positive angle, and I feel that I'm meant to do that. It's way beyond what is about me. There's a lot of people out there. They're suffering. They're committing suicide. They're down. They're depressed. They're psychotic. And I'm not a mental health worker, but I've been through it. I can relate to them. There's things that I can, give them to help them. So that's how I feel. That's where I'm at.
And what was the child in you like?
Growing up as a kid.
Yeah. Like, who were you? How were you? What was the essence of your child?
It's hard to define because I think I was quite scared. I grew up in an environment of a lot of danger, so I was always kind of on edge, paranoid. I liked people a lot of love, family, friends, but I grew up in a very rough environment, drugs, crime, so could never fully let my guard down, and that became quite tiring after many years of not being fully relaxed in myself and around people and environment because of thinking something could go wrong, could get attacked, could get, so, but then there was another side as well, so, yeah, I don't know.
A lot to survive.
Survival, yeah.
And considering where you've come from and the work that you've done and the courage to talk about breakdowns and stuff like that, thank God I get a space to talk about what an arse I can be and have been, what a failure, all the pain. It's not about showing off. I'm not sure that's very helpful.
No.
And the good stuff doesn't need to be hidden. It's just part of the story. Do you lot find the same, that when you connect with what you've been through, the true story, rather than the razzmatazz, then not only is it more helpful, but it's more, connected or something?
100%.
More honest.
More beneficial.
Yeah.
And I would rather be connected than just some cheap show.
Exactly.
Which gets the most likes and shares out of interest?
The most innocuous. No, it really is. It's usually the dumbest and the thing you kind of throw away going, as I say, my Valentine's message, which was like, whoever you've got, wherever you've got, doesn't make any difference. Just celebrate the day in the way you want to celebrate. That goes around the world, and I'm like, help people who are in need, and people go, yeah, not so much.
So this is us celebrating us and life, warts and all. And now we're going to celebrate with some commercials.
You can't Kenny Everett on it.
Right. Yeah. We are back. And Johnny's going to be back in a minute. And I wonder about you kicking this one off, Paul.
Oh, well, that would seem apropos as we're about to talk about health, I would have thought.
Exactly.
All right, so I suffer with a condition known as chronic fatigue syndrome, which I've been diagnosed with since I was 20, but probably had since I was 10 when I had a first bout of glandular fever. At its worst, chronic fatigue puts me bedridden, speechless, immobilized, can't do anything, completely reliant on other people for survival. That doesn't happen too often these days, thankfully, although I've spent 2 years in that state, a year and a half wheelchair bound, 2 years wheelchair bound.
Were you homeless while you were wheelchair bound? And
Yeah, I was. And to clarify what that means in that context is that actually that was when I first became homeless. The stress of becoming homeless triggered a relapse of my symptoms.
Wow.
So I was in hospital for 3 months, and then they discharged me from hospital in a wheelchair to a homeless hostel in Brixton. And I was supposed to have had a carer, and I was there for 48 hours without any food, water, or anyone looking after me whatsoever, which was not a fun experience by any standards. But
wow.
so I'm constantly having to sort of balance between what I want to do, what I want to achieve, with what my body's capabilities permit me to do. And doctors always tell you, you know, the best way to live your life is like this. If you're a chronic fatigue, you know, don't do anything stressful. I don't do that. It's like,
that's saying to you, don't be you.
Yeah, don't have a life. Basically, it's like, you know, you could live for a very long time, but you won't have done or achieved anything. And I'm like, yeah, I'd rather be dead. Yeah. So, and it's a tricky one. I'm drinking the King's Ginger now from Berry Brothers and Road because I've got a cold coming on, and one of the biggest problems, obviously, being homeless is you know, it's a tripartite thing, really. Is chronic fatigue prevents you from sleeping, although exhausts you. Sitting upright in Heathrow Airport is not the greatest place to get recovery rest.
Is that your plan A, plan B home or something?
Heathrow is my default. So at the worst, you know, if I get trapped at Heathrow, there's going to be a police officer coming around quite quickly, kind of going, can we assist? Anywhere else? I mean, I have actually collapsed out in the street and been there for 13 hours, staring at the sky, going, I hope someone turns up at some point.
Wow.
And that,
do you know when it's coming on?
I can judge certain crashes. It's what chronic fatigue syndrome sufferers call their relapses. Usually after, you know, I mean, if I'm doing a project, I know I'm going to crash. So I schedule that in. How long that crash is, how severe, no idea. So sometimes it's just a couple of days. Sometimes you're going to be out months. But you know it's coming. But the problem with my life at the moment is that I seem to keep it at bay if I'm living on adrenaline.
How long's that sustainable for?
God knows till I'm dead, I'm guessing.
Good God. And when you know it's coming on, then is there someone you can phone and say, look, I need a place for a few days to see this through?
No, not so much, actually. It's because that's the time I wouldn't reach out to people, because I don't mind crashing at friends' houses. So, you know, recently it got cold or the storms happen, you know, my friends are go, oh, you got to get in. Yeah, of course. But as soon as I get ill, that's a different ballgame, because suddenly they're having to look after me. And that's a responsibility that they've not asked for, or that burden shouldn't be placed on them, frankly. You know, this is why I paid national insurance. This is why, you know, we're supposed to have health services and care services. You know, there is a specialist chronic fatigue unit in King's, but it's difficult to sort of engage with these things. So usually I just kind of hope that I'm in a situation where I'll be inside somewhere, that whoever's there, whether it's the police or ambulance service or NHS or hospitals or whatever, will come to your aid. But it's not always the case by a long shot. I mean, I've been trapped in my car for days, for instance, unable to go, you know, it's where I used to live. And yeah, I mean, it's a tricky balance.
Wow.
I've gone way over.
Well, good, because I'm embarrassed to say anything as a follow-up to that. I guess I used to... So, in the past, I had my mental health issues. I guess a lot of them were from post-traumatic stress disorder. So there was obsessive-compulsive disorder, body dysmorphia, Tourette's, trichomania, twitch, grunt, pull my hair, pick at myself, all of that kind of thing. Currently, all I have is dyscalculia, which is like numbers and distance and time, which hence I'm having nothing to do at the time. And I am learning self-care. I spent a lot of my life having a strange relationship with food, starving and binging. And I guess I remember as a young child after refugee camp thinking, if I'm dead, it might be easier for them. They might have more of a chance because they've got less mouths to feed. And I guess there's a part of me, it's almost like this child in me, or an unconscious part, that kept that going. It's not safe to eat. It might bankrupt people. I had a cough recently with all the illness that was going on, and I heard a voice, or I felt a feeling of, don't buy cough medicine. Don't even think about it. It's for other people. It could bankrupt us. It could do something really bad. And then I thought, fuck, I need to sort this out. That's not going on now. And to be healthy and have a good enough life that I can listen to that and turn it around and stop stealing time from sleep. I shouldn't sleep. I can do things. I can get ahead of the game, or having the same starving binging or not taking responsibility. It's like, it's time to take responsibility now. And I'm learning. I'm very, very lucky that my wife is good with health and nutrition and food and stuff like that. And I guess in a way I've let her take over. And now I'm stepping up and I'm being a good man to myself and my health and my boy, and not being her son that needs to be nurtured and fed and taken care of. And it's a big deal. It's been a really big deal for me. And it's like, I'm fine. There are people worse off. And, you know, I don't even want to know what's up in case there's something up, because I'll be letting the side down, and I can't afford that to do that to myself or anyone else. I'm probably over time as well, aren't I? So, yeah, stepping it up and taking responsibility. I even bought a new toothbrush. On that note, with my obsessive compulsive, I used to brush my teeth so hard, incredibly hard, that dentists say, why are your teeth so cracked? It's crazy. Anyway, Johnny.
I just thought the things you said I relate to. I think I've probably got a lot of similar psychological patterns you've got. Everything you said, I relate to that, about not wanting, feeling that you can't care for yourself, like it's wrong. There's other people suffering more if you're ill. So I just went to the toilet and come back, because it's about health, right?
Yeah.
So,
Current impulse.
Yeah,
health.
I think for me, so after what I went through with a breakdown 2 years ago, I've become a lot more self-aware now about taking care of my health, where before that, I just more didn't really care. As long as I'm healthy, I haven't got a serious illness. But I think for now, it's not doing it to be cool or to get followers, or, you know, just going to the gym because I enjoy it. It stops me getting depressed, makes me more positive. It calms down the fears, the worries, helps me to deal with all these voices that I've been dealing with as a kid, you know, these critical voices or these fantasies and stuff. So keeping it simple and, I think, I don't know, that's where I'm at of it. Going to the gym, that really helps. And
what was,
yeah.
I'm guessing you broke down and broke through.
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about that?
I won't drag it out, but 2 years ago I had a psychotic breakdown. I wasn't diagnosed psychotic, thank God. And I didn't really know why, and the doctors didn't know why, but it was a combination of things. And I had to go on medication, lost my confidence. Wasn't suicidal, but I didn't want to live anymore. I lost passion for life. And so coming back from that, I'm so grateful. That's all I can say. I know you've heard it so many times, people say it's cliche, but when you go through that, it does humble you. It does make you appreciate things and appreciate people more. And I can be a lot happier now with little things rather than needing a lot of things to be happy. Even though I've got a part of me that wants to be more successful. So things like this now, being happy, being able to talk with people and connect with people, get coffee, wake up, wash my clothes, put my towel in the bag, go to the gym. I seem to appreciate these small little things that when I was younger, that would never appreciated me. It would have had to been, got to get women, got to make money and stuff. So the health side for me, because I used to hate when people say you should go gym, you should eat healthy. It used to bother me. I was like, don't tell me what to do. And but now it's come at me more like, I don't have to go gym. I choose to because I enjoy being more healthy.
So you've come back in your power.
I think so. I feel a lot better. But no, I'm not gonna lie, it's not perfect. I have days where I get down. I think I'm always gonna have that. I get depressed for whatever reason because of the mental condition, but so does everyone else. I know it's not just about me. A lot of people struggle with these things, and just doing what we're doing, just learning to get through it and just do the best you can. You know, so
thank you, Oliver.
I can very much relate to what John has just said about how, through having a time in my own life when I experienced no inner peace and I was feeling crappy, very bad about myself, and just going for a drink with a friend, going for a run, going for a walk in nature, things like that, and just sitting at home writing an article or reading a book. Very simple things, yeah, as you said, the whole thing of being more successful and travelling and doing all that is great, but at the same time I can appreciate just doing the very simple things.
Were you taught to take care of yourself, or have you taught yourself to take care of yourself?
I suppose it's a bit of both. I mean, it wasn't like you must exercise or do anything like that. But in terms of eat, you know, my mother always cooked and there's always food, so it wasn't like there was any neglect there. But for me, when I was about 14, because I was watching like Bruce Lee and Van Damme and people like that, and I just got into martial arts. So I had the idea I wanted to train in martial arts. And just after that time, I wanted to work out as well. And so I just started working out. And since then, I mean, now going to the gym's a bit more fashionable. You know, you share it. So many people in these gyms. I mean, it's just like a factory. And people in there just taking selfies and all that. It's never really been my thing. I'd rather just get in there, do what I need to do and get out. But I just like to run and to work. And it's something that I've done for so long. So it's not really anything that I feel I have to do. I just feel the need to do it. And I go and do it, and that's it. And that's done, and I go and do something else.
The reason I think we're all too sexy for our shirts is because of authenticity. Not only are we too sexy for our shirts because we're authentic, vulnerable men showing up and sharing ourselves, but now we're going to talk about our hearts, heartbreak, and how to carry on, I guess, walking our paths with open hearts. Johnny, do you fancy kicking this one off?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about with heartbreak? What, with women, with life?
With however your heart has been broken and how you've taken care of it and how you choose to live your life with an open heart or not, or navigating.
Been through a lot of heartbreak in the last 3 years. First with mental breakdown, even though your mind breaks down, your heart breaks as well. Heartbreak with a girl that I met that I fell in love with, and she said she fell in love with me. Hope she was telling the truth, and I couldn't be with her because long distance, and even though it felt right and we're connected with her, I knew it wasn't the right person or it wasn't right for her. That was painful, letting go of that and kind of saying no when every instinct wanted to keep seeing her, you know, and she wanted to keep seeing me, but I just knew deep down it wouldn't be right. You know, breaking down in business, you know, losing the following for a while, challenges. One of my friends that I loved growing up has become very mentally ill. His mum contacted me, and he's going through a very bad time. I try to help him, and that's heartbreaking. That broke my heart.
Yeah.
You know, so I've been through a lot. But what I can say is, I feel cheesy saying it, but it's true. These things are not nice, but we're all going to go through this in life, and it does toughen you up. You like you said, you break down, but over time, even if you don't even try or you try it, you do get stronger. You do come back again. You do find that confidence, and you will meet someone else. Or I hope you don't mind me saying this, like with the homelessness I'm passionate about. I've been homeless before, and maybe not as long as yourself, but things will work out. You will get a place again. Yeah, and I'm not just saying positive thinking, just think it will come round again, you know. So we all go through some kind of heartbreak, but how do you respond to it? Because before I didn't respond very well. I'd be like, why is this happening to me? I'm not good enough. I'm ashamed. I shouldn't be heartbroken. I'm a man. I've failed. But no, it can happen to anyone. And then you can be heartbroken today and then meet the girl of your dreams next week, or it can happen again. So I feel a lot stronger because of the heartbreak, but because I've gone through it, processed it, and I just would like to tell that to other people who might be going through heartbreak, or their business went down, or they've not got no money. I've been through all these things. But if you see them as challenges and you can actually build it back. So it's not like, oh, my heart's broken, it can never be fixed again.
It's part of the story rather than the end.
It's life. I'm not going deep, but we're all going to get heartbroken.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how positive you are, how successful, how much you treat people, it's called life. And there's a lot of stuff out today where people are just not being honest because they're scared to tell the truth about, you know, things can go wrong. You know, people will die. So I've got a different perspective on it, and makes you appreciate when your heart wasn't broken, and you learn a lot from it. You know, the pain teaches you. If you ignore it and go, my heart's broken, but I can't deal with it, which I've done and people do. So heartbreak can transform you. It can be a gateway to transformation. Sometimes you've got to go through getting your heart broken. Maybe you're not living right. You're with the wrong person. You're not treating people right, or you've got to change directions in life.
So it's a catalyst. It can be a catalyst.
It can definitely be, and I never thought I'd be saying these words today because I never thought of things like that. I used to take it so personal. I would never be able to talk amongst men about my feelings and heartbroken. I'd associate if I'm heartbroken, I'm a failure. It's because I'm not good enough. It's because I'm ashamed. But it's not true. For me, it's been a blessing, and I've observed other people that I look up to, or just whoever they are, and they go through it, and then they're a better person after. Like after a year or two, they're more grounded, they're more humble. I think heartbreak humbles you, it makes you stronger, but obviously it takes a little bit of time. But I do get it when someone has gone through heartbreak at the early stages, they do not want to hear what I just said. Like, you know, they need you need support, help, you know, and go through it. But trust me, a lot of strength comes from going through difficult things, pain, tragedies, challenges, financial, accommodation, family, online media. You can come back. It's not over when your heart's broken, you know. So
thank you.
Sorry, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but
I think that was a damn good tangent. Good on you. Oliver.
I would say with the heartbreak that I've been through myself, it's been through having not coming from a place of resistance. Because as soon as, whenever I've tried to resist it, and there has been stages where I haven't felt strong enough to face how I feel or to express what was going on for me, then there was a resistance. And because of that, it was harder. And I think also not getting too attached to what is going on. So seeing it as just a stage. I think as you're saying, Johnny, see it as just a phase that will soon basically come to an end. But these things have sometimes taken a couple of years for me to come back up again. And it would often be, it wouldn't just be what was going on there. It would be kind of years of other repressed losses or mini losses of perhaps pets or things like that.
So when the lid's off, everything that's been
so it gives everything the chance to come out and say hello.
Yeah.
And to
or goodbye,
look
hopefully.
at me. Yeah, but hello, give me your attention.
Yeah.
And then once it's got that, then it can kind of
pass.
Be transmuted. But all the time, it isn't, really is there anything. This is great. It can seem as though it's the end of the world. And then as time goes on, and I've gained more perspective, then it kind of puts that into perspective, what took place. And I think it's this whole thing about through having like the break, then it kind of opens me up more and more to allowing more love in. So it's kind of it's what they say is that sometimes if we break a bone and once it heals it's stronger. It's like that. And as you're saying, it's this resilience, doing the right things, having the right support, the right mindset, the right diet and everything.
Even diet.
So even diet, and then so I can come back stronger. To now being with someone now, which wouldn't have taken place if I just completely closed up and said no more. I just became bitter and the world's against me, developed like a victim.
Was there a part of you
mentality.
that said, no way, I'm not going through that again? What if it ends?
At the time, and then just staying with it and doing the work and gradually coming back up for air and diving back in.
Tell me you've written a book about it.
I've got a book.
Go on.
How to get over a breakup.
Nice
How to
one.
guide, yeah.
Handy to have him. You have a book for every occasion. Paul.
Yes, heartbreak. Since we last spoke, I was talking about a breakup that I went through last year, which was quite seismic. And we reconnected in December, and there is something undoubtedly between us. And we tried again, and it failed almost instantaneously. And I struggle with it, because in my eyes it failed because she couldn't talk, she couldn't express her feelings, she couldn't be honest, and it was frustrating, and it remains to be frustrating, because I think there's so much good between us, and there's so many things that we'd be supportive and caring for each other about. And actually, we're both quite ambitious. We're both very supportive in each other's work, and but there's just this element of that's just insurmountable, apparently, and it frustrates me, and I'm not good with it, because this was a relationship that kind of changed my view on relationships. I decided not to be monogamous in my 30s. And therefore I was never going to be in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, and that was true for 20 years. And this woman sort of came into my life and said, hey, I'm only going to start dating you if you've got the potential for marriage. I'm not saying we're going to get married, but, it forced me to have a rethink. And, the older I get, the sort of opportunities, I believe, are diminishing considerably, certainly for me. And that's been noticeable. Years ago, I was a bit like you, Lothario, you. But yeah, but the other side of it is that the older I get, also the security becomes much of a bigger pressure for women than it did when you're younger.
Yeah.
So not having the house, not having the regular income, not having, it kind of comes as a big chunk of baggage for other people. It doesn't bother me in the least, because I'm still taking them out to eat at the finest restaurants in town, and because of my connections and associations, so they get an experience they couldn't pay for. But still in their heads it's like, well, you can't look after me, even with the uprise of feminism and all the rest of things that are going on. I got my time right this time.
Well, do you know what? Make sure I do. When this came up, I just thought about my first love, Michelle, and we fell in love. I was a student in Southampton, and her boyfriend was a boxer, but all the same, even though I might die because I'm in love with her and he might kill me, we had to have the relationship. I moved to London because I promised myself I would, and it was almost a test that if it's right, then we'll be together. And cut a long story short, we weren't. It didn't happen. And I remember how my home, my things, my journey from my home to the tube station, everything reminded me of her. And I moved house. I remember how in the end my own body reminded me of her, and I couldn't change that. I just had to grieve and grieve and grieve, and I couldn't look at another woman for 2 years, and that was it. And it was like the end of my life. 2 long years. And I guess the first love is the one that the first cut is the deepest, I guess. It was a lot, and it took a lot for me to think, I'm going to open up and I'm going to love again, or let myself be vulnerable again. And it felt like the stupidest choice of my life. And also the grief of the part of me, or the parts of me that had nowhere to come alive. And then fast forward a few years, I remember having not been in a relationship for a while, and then this other woman came in my life. I believed her when she said she was going to come around to cook me fish, and I thought that was it. Before I know it, we're in a relationship. And when she started touching me, I remember how my skin hurt, because I hadn't been touched for a while, and it was weird. The pain and the love, and my God, it's worth it. Right, our next round, it was suggested that we go a little bit upbeat. Thanks for that, Paul.
No worries.
Our next round is going to be a celebration babble. What is it we wish to celebrate? Over to you, Oliver.
I think I will start off with my partner. Celebrate the fact that we've come together and having a conscious relationship where we can work through things as well as do all the other enjoyable things as well. And I'd say it's a blessing that we've come together, and that we met at an airport and then came together many years down the line. So we didn't meet through an app.
That is so romantic. You met at an airport.
I've got to ask, man, because it's interesting. Do you approach her? Does she approach you? Or is it random?
I think we got off the plane and then we were on the escalator, and I might have spoken to her first. And that was, I suppose, in a way, partly for the years of kind of approaches that I did, kind of prepared me, because there's often a lot of criticism, isn't there, about what these, people do and all that. But it's like most of the men there just want to find someone to have a relationship with. So that kind of prepared me, going to Salsa and speaking to people there and doing the approaches and all that prepared me for this, which was something that was perhaps not something that I believed that I could experience in the beginning. Didn't think I was capable or worthy or deserving someone who actually is at my level intellectually, and we can connect on all levels. And as well, I'd also like to celebrate going to Cyprus, the time we spent in Cyprus, and that was brilliant with all the ancient artifacts there and the weather and the people, very friendly. And also celebrate my new inner child course as well. Looking forward to getting that out. and also being here as well, being invited by Kenny again to do this men's group and to meet other people, to hear your stories. And I've seen we've all got quite a lot in common. Kind of, perhaps our challenges are slightly different, but we're all kind of here, we've turned up and sharing without, as you said, was it the masculine?
Yeah.
You know?
Drop the masculine, let the masculine shine through.
So I think that's it from me.
Cool. Thank
Great,
you.
man. I'm happy for you, man, that you've met someone, because, yeah, it's nice. Good.
You're looking at me.
Celebration.
Exactly.
I've got a lot to celebrate this year. I think the thing I'm most jubilant about is the fact that I have done so many collaborations with so many people this year. It's ironic because they're people who are considerably older. So normally when you do this kind of collaborative works, you tend to do them in your 20s, and everybody's like, oh, let's get our heads down and think, well, 20-year-olds now just want cash. Hardcore money. Give me the cash, man. I'm not doing anything for nothing. So it's been really hard for me to get things off the ground because, of course, the very nature of how I do things and put things together doesn't have funding invariably.
Yeah.
And so, the play I'm working with, Karina Cornwell, used to be Cornell, her acting name, and she and I haven't worked on a project since my very, very first project. So I gave her first ever television break in 2005 on my domestic docudrama Silent Voices. But we've been friends for 15 years, and she's a real friend. She's helped me out inordinately over the years, and vice versa, I hope. And yeah, so we're actually she's playing herself in the play, and I'm playing me in the play.
Wow.
So I'm playing me as a narrator, and then an actor's playing me in flashback. But yeah, so that's really great. And Chris Harvey, who's a paparazzi photographer, who enabled me to do Paul Atherton's Greatest London as a gallery at Oxo. I mean, he was someone that just literally was one of those guys that if I'm around, I am literally unstoppable. So it was kind of, right, we need to do this, Chris. We got 10 days to put on the photographic exhibition. What are you doing? He goes, well, working, Paul. It's like, okay, so what time do you finish in the morning? Because he's a pap, so he doesn't usually finish until about 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
So the picture of us together, the sort of monumental picture of us in Piccadilly Circus, he had literally taken Madonna's photograph less than 4 hours earlier, and sort of finished that, uploaded that to his the press agency, and then sort of had about 3 hours sleep and then ran over. So they're the things that I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate the people that pick up and go. Yeah.
Good on you. Thank you. This is a weird one. I want to celebrate because I double booked and I didn't know how I was going to do a 2-hour show when I had a client booked at the College of Psychic Studies. So I phoned up and it's like, okay, this is what I've done. Can you see if she can come an hour later or half an hour later, and I'll give some extra time. And it turns out that she had a bit of a family thing, so she cancelled anyway. So I guess I want to celebrate the way things fall apart and fall together, and somehow magically it comes together bigger than my control. And I saw another client today at College of Psychic Studies, and it was brilliant to be meeting this total stranger, doing some work and starting, and then getting here on time. And then I'm going and running a group there. So tonight I've got a group at the College of Psychic Studies. I've started running them for alternatives that I love. We're turning the groups into a charity and a training. So, and I'm loving my client work, and I love what I do. And I think we've all got that in common, but I think it's quite rare that people actually love what they do. I'd also like to celebrate my stupidity because I think, firstly, I am not scared to make an ass of myself anymore. And it's such a relief that, I'm probably going to be laughed at and I'll probably say the wrong thing. And just having those thoughts, it doesn't actually happen very often. And even if it did, it doesn't matter. What a relief. So I guess showing up and taking part in love, knowing that I might be humiliated or hurt, And that's with my friends, with my wife, with you lot, as it goes, because love is love. And I would rather come alive and engage in love than stay small and not touch the sides and not even exist. So much of me just needs to be met or needs to grow or needs to be expressed. And I'm thinking, fuck it. I'm going to and if the worst happens, then it'll pass. And I think that's another thing I'd like to celebrate is for a lot of my life, if I was on a downer, I'd think, I'm on a downer. I've always been on a downer. I will always be on a downer. And it was just a bit too down. And I have had to learn that actually all things will pass. And they do. And it's so important for me to remember that. And especially working with suicidal people sometimes, it's like being in that place with them and reminding them and even proving to them with their own stories that things pass. And it's easy for me to say because I'm not there, but to enable things to pass, laughing, crying, talking, breathing, moving, whatever. And now I'm going to pass over to Johnny.
Well, so much to celebrate. You guys' stuff is inspiring. Just being here, being able to do this. It was a dream as a kid, watching people on TV, talking on shows. I never could have imagined myself being with people and enjoying it and doing this. So proud of being here today and love YouTube, celebrating the videos that inspire people, focusing on the positivity, podcast shows. I love that stuff. Love hearing people like yourself that are passionate about what they do and the fact that we can be honest about our struggles, our insecurities, and also show our talents. And like you said, it's not over. Things will pass when you go through difficult times. So that's a celebration. And also as well, the mental health, I think it's good at the moment. A lot of people are talking about it in a positive way. Celebrating Tyson Fury. I hope he beats Deontay Wilder in the boxing. Kick his ass. But I like Deontay Wilder. He's a good man. So there's a lot to be grateful for. I know there's a lot of things that are going on that are not nice, but yeah, just being grateful to be alive. The small things, little things, like I can go and get a coffee or a tea, talk to people, and like you said earlier, we don't have to be perfect as well. Celebrating, I don't have to be a perfect person, I can make mistakes, people make mistakes, so I'll wrap it up there.
How many minutes do we have? Can you believe that have we finished this round? How can we finish early?
The rounds get quicker as we go.
Ridiculous. We're getting slick with this. We got 2 minutes.
2 whole minutes. Oh, now
That's
we can
ridiculous.
play.
Now we can definitely play. So what else? What hasn't been said? Anything that
Everything's been said, isn't it?
I think the idea of unity and society, I think one of the things about these groups and other things like them and what I was talking about collaboration is something that's so absent from modern society.
Yeah.
You really struggle to make connections now. We're talking about sort of social media and things. You have this illusionary notion that you're connected to people because people like your posts or they retweet or something, and actually the reality, nobody cares really. It's like, oh, I can, sorry, that was me tapping the desk twice. I suddenly remembered I was on radio. And we're structured like that. So these moments now are not the norm. When I was a kid growing up, this would be a pub.
Yeah.
We'd be in the back room of a pub drinking beer and chatting and sharing experiences and talking about breakups and what have you. Whereas now you actually need a formalized space to do that. And I'm grateful for it. But the fact is, I'm also sort of saddened slightly that we now live in such a segmented, isolated society that actually you do have to create the constructs to enable you to do that.
We were both brought up in Wales, and I don't know whether you had the same experience of people knocking on the door. Is Kenny coming out to play?
Oh, knocking! Knocking! Nobody knocked! They just wandered in. Oh, Paul, are you coming out?
There was the string from the letterbox with the key.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just for the people that lived there, it was also for the neighbours. It's like, what, do you think you're special? Why didn't you just let yourself in?
So the idea of this, just so you know, is that you lift up the letterbox and there's a string, you pull the string through, you get the front door key and you open it. If you can imagine that in the 21st century, it'd be a very strange place.
No one knocks on doors, they tweet each other.
Excuse me.
Do you know what's really weird is suddenly come to the end of 2 hours of hanging out, and it feels like it's flashed by.
It's gone so quick. Yeah.
And I guess in a way it's been intense.
Yeah.
But in another way, I kind of feel like it's been a bit of a breeze hanging out with you lot. Yeah. So we haven't really any idea how to end apart from to say, I guess, how it's been and how we are in the world, and build a bridge to outside the studio life. So how's it been, chaps?
It's been good. It makes you realise that you should do this more often. Like what Paul was saying earlier about years ago, it was normal to talk in a group of people in the pub, wherever. Where now, in a way, it shouldn't feel like this amazing. We should be doing this anyway. So something that used to be normal now is it's not normal anymore. So it's like a treat to meet people in person.
Yeah.
And to have one of these conversations, and it's not just hit like, read the comment, that sort of unappreciated kind of connection. So it's real, it's human emotions, talking to people, feeling, being vulnerable. So, and it's it's I don't know, I can't put a word in it. It's just what it is.
It's normal.
It's normal.
And I think
Yeah.
this normal is the normal that I wish to take out into daily life, because I like this normal. The computers don't like me. Nobody likes me.
Computers don't like normal.
Another topic there,
I believe we may have a spare hour to discuss how much technology dislikes you.
Well, nobody likes you.
And this is where my mum comes in. I'm sure she pays my friends to be nice to me. But anyway, that's another story. How do you hang out in daily life? What's your thing?
To be honest, I mix it up. So I do a group every month, a Fearless event, where I meet in the Park St James, have a coffee, and we talk. That's nice. Meet up with friends. Usually most of my meetings are very intimate when I meet up with friends. So, but I am still a little bit antisocial. I spend a lot of time on my laptop in my flat on my own. So it's a mixture of like social and very antisocial. So it's kind of me.
Isn't that strange?
It's weird.
I bet
It's
a
bit
lot
of
of your
exciting.
time on the laptop is actually.
It feels like because I live a
connecting.
lot on the laptop, on YouTube, watching
Yeah.
videos, watching other YouTubers, which I enjoy, but yeah, probably spend a little bit too much time doing it. Need more social time.
Well, I'm chuffed you came out in the flesh.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me. It was great.
Yeah. So yeah, how about you two?
Well, I for me, the human connection is the key all and be all of everything and anything for me. It's my friends are my lifeblood, and I spend a huge amount of time with as many friends as possible. And it's one of the reasons I hold these 4 parties a year, because it's very easy, because I've got a large circle of friends. It's very easy not to get to see everybody in a year. Because a lot of people, they've got children or they've got other commitments, so basically they've only got weekends, and there's only 52 of them in the year, and and suddenly it runs out. So I always try and put these 4 markers in the year where I get everybody together, so at least it feels like we've touched base once a year or once every quarter. But for me, I think in the current state that we're in, I feel isolation. That even now, I can spend a day very much like Johnny was saying, just staring at a computer screen, because that seems to be how I've got to live my life now. And it's like when you were saying, technology is against you. It's because you want to do certain things, and the technology goes, no, you can't do it like that. So suddenly posting an Instagram post or a tweet that used to take me about 20 seconds is now a 15-minute job. Because you've got to because I post on Instagram and it links to Twitter, so I've got to check the handles are the same, and then I'm trying to put an image up, and then I've got to color correct the image, and then I've got to do, and you're like, oh, this is ridiculous. I'm spending more time talking about the thing that I did than the thing that I did. How is that a thing in the 21st century?
Wow. And what is your daily life? Is there such a thing, or is it totally
Is there an
random?
average day? No. I don't know whether I'm going to wake up at Heathrow or a friend's couch or in a car or on a bus or on a tube. Once that's kind of coordinated, I've got to, decide how well I'm functioning. Am I firing on all cylinders? Have I had enough sleep to sort of be cogent? And then after that, it's kind of like there are certain things that I've created self-imposed deadlines. Obviously, like, the play, that's got to be ready on the 16th. The photographic exhibition had set period of times. This isn't usually my life. I don't normally have deadlines intentionally because it puts pressure on my conditions, so I try and avoid having those kind of things in my life. So I want to produce something, but if it takes 2 years, so what?
Yeah.
Whereas recently, that 16th of March is when that's got to be ready.
Yeah.
Somehow. It could just be that we're there with scripts on the day. It won't be, but yeah. So every day is just a different set of challenges and a different way of approaching them, and I always just kind of cross my fingers and go, let me function. If I can function, I can do something, even if it just means I get a tweet out there. I mean, I've got a petition running around at the moment trying to get Rory Stewart to come kip with me at Heathrow Airport because he's running his mayoral London campaign. I'm like, oh, that would be brilliant. Come and talk to me, and I can really explain the problems to you, because no one's talking about the real problems of homelessness in this kind of city at the moment. So yeah, so it's sometimes it's as simple as spotting a tweet and making leverage of it. And that's sometimes just the accomplishment for the day. That's as best as I'm going to get that day. Sometimes, getting to a place to shower is like an Olympic, triumph. And I should get gold medals for it. Even down when I'm really ill, even down to cleaning my teeth. The process of trying to find a bathroom with a tap that runs cold water, so you haven't got to mix a tap. Stupid little things that suddenly become absolutely ginormous.
Wow. Thank you. Oliver.
Yeah, I was just thinking that it covered so many different bases. I was just kind of thinking, what's the point of the question? That's a bad point. I suppose with me, I like to, but like with Johnny, I suppose spending a fair amount of time online, and usually if I got an idea, I sit down and get that done. And then I kind of put my laptop to one side. But then, as you've said, with sharing on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, there's so many, and I've got different groups on Facebook, and then there's the hashtags and trying to get leveraging those, and I like to spend a fair amount of time by myself to recharge and time with others. But I wouldn't really say I'm probably more an introvert, but then I do like to go out as well. But if I come up to London and I find there's so much going on, me living on the coast, and hardly anything going on there compared with here. And then going home feeling a bit maxed out, all the stimulation, the noise, the smells, the people. It's like, and obviously being in London, there's less of a boundary there because there's so many people, you haven't got enough space to have as much space between you and the next person. So getting used to that. But I think, as you said as well, now so much is done by a computer. It's almost like we need to be glued to a screen all the time. And it's like these things here. So let's get together for a men's group as if we're doing something radically like left field. And it's like, as you said,
we're chatting in a pub.
It's just basically that, isn't it? So it's like so different, but it shouldn't be.
No.
And I think, as you're saying as well about this, there's something goes viral, so it's a bit of titillation. And then the next thing, people think that's great, and they've forgotten about it. Similar to with the news, it's just anything, a bit of stimulation next. And what was that thing? And even if there's something, like, as you said as well, something very important, usually doesn't get a lot. But then even if it does, the next thing, there's something else.
Yeah.
And then always, front page is what some celebrity is doing. And it's like, well, what's the main concern here? Certainly isn't what these celebrities are doing. So it's a real, but, what kind of values, and obviously they're just going for the shock factor, aren't they? People notice things that are negative more than positive. They're looking for that usually, and some of these important issues that you're talking about get completely disregarded, and then that creates more resentment and anger, and it all feeds in to this kind of energy. So yeah, it's just can be hard, and as you're saying as well, to kind of find and get everyone together. Because people get married as well, they got kids, can't do that, can't do this, and it's like, well, I can do them, but can't do that, and it's like trying to get it together. But I think a good thing is, even if it's only Skype and just getting someone on there, is better than just how you doing and all that, and these messages that do nothing for us. I mean, when we're sat in front of someone, it regulates our nervous system and all that, so we feel more at ease. And then we go online, it's like, I'm saying hello, I'm doing all these things, but it's feel a bit drained because we're not getting the nourishment we need from real people. So, And last thing, I'd just like to say to Kenny, this is something that Kenny is very good at, bringing people together, and creating like this family setup. So big pat on the back for Kenny for doing what he does.
Actually patting on Kenny on the back right now.
I feel well patted. Do you know,
2 minutes left.
I love ironing, especially my shirts. And I love ironing, hanging out with my friends, even if it's just one, and chatting or watching a movie or
You're
something.
my mother.
I also love being in the forest with one, maybe two friends, and also quietly, not necessarily having to chat. If there's something to say, fine, but sharing silent space is so important. I love that being and listening. It's like when we had those 2 minutes, the listening and noticing the banging outside, the banging as in the floors. Anyway, I love that I have an infrared sauna in my lounge, and I sit in this funny, it looks like a big orthopedic shoe, and my head pops out the top, and I sweat all my heavy metals out while hanging out with my wife and we watched Sex Education on Netflix recently. You know, things like simplicity. And I have the luxury of good people in my life. And it's like, if the community's not there, fuck it, I'm going to create it. And I've just naturally done that. And I think I'm used to that because of Wales, because of my parents, because of the Catholic community, the Goan community, whatever. I love all that. And I love that I have a magic bell. And I think the last thing we should do during this group is ring the bell and ring ourselves out. But first, I really, really have loved hanging out with you three.
You too.
Because I don't know what we're going to talk about or what's going to happen, and I love not being in control. I used to be a control freak. Now I'm just a freak. And here's my bell.